another episode of the Human Blueprint. Bernard, I want to pass it to you and let you introduce this topic. I know that you really wanted to bring this and share it with everybody, so I'll let you do it justice.
Okay, I was just chatting with Herman, and there's people I know that have a lot of materials, so great, riches. So cottages, cars, houses, who knows what, there's lots of things. But what I noticed is that they're still unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up, we were taught that if you have more things, you're going to be really, really happy in life.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. What's going on here?
What's going on here? We're lied to. So, a lot of people who are listening or watching this right now, think to yourself, what's your predominant thought every single day? From the second you wake up in the morning, what's your predominant thought? Is it that you need to acquire something? Is it that you need to have something? Is it that you need to go get something? Is it that you need to go have that empty space filled? What is it?
For me, to be honest, is making sure Han's happy.
Mm-hmm.
Han's my wife, by the way.
Okay. What about you?
Well, I can give you the old me and the new me.
Yeah.
So old me had a vision board
Mm-hmm.
that had a lot of fancy cars, fancy houses, stacks of money,
Mm-hmm.
just all the material stuff. And that was on my vision board about 4 or 5 years ago before I met you. But then now today, after I've met you, it's more of I'm just trying to be better for the people in my life so that I can, help other people grow and help other people make positive changes. So I would say that is more of my focus and mission.
Now, it's good that you brought this up because most people are told to have a vision board. Most people are told to have it plastered or say affirmations every single day. Lie to yourself, right? But a lot of people don't realize this. It's like, if you're so focused on the riches and you become so, narrow-minded, narrow-sighted, and you only see one thing is just to acquire, you miss out on everything in life that you're supposed to enjoy. All the things you're supposed to enjoy, that's the wealth. Those are the things that money can't buy. Mm-hmm. But when you're focused on the one thing, the riches, and you're focused on that can be replaced, but you're not focused on the things that cannot be replaced, then you start to lose yourself. And that's where so many people get lost. And so for a lot of people, when they have that predominant thought, like he said, with that vision board, and that's all they see and picture day in, 24/7, 365, that's all they want, acquire. What do you think that does for a person? Psyche, what do you think that does for someone's mentality?
That's all they care about.
I can tell you because I went through it as well. For me, it almost made me feel a lack of fulfillment because I was looking at what I didn't have.
Yeah.
And the fact that I didn't have it, it made me feel less of a person.
Mm-hmm. And so when you combine that now with social media, it's all about what do I have, what do you not have, what can I show off, what can you not show off. And that's why a lot of people have to be very careful what they continue to feed inside their mind, inside to their body, because then that naturally feeds the soul. And if the soul becomes poisoned from everything that this is poisoned with, for everything that this is poisoned with, the mind and the heart, then when the soul gets poisoned, becomes so toxic, and then that's where the habits have been imprinted. So a lot of people who have a lot of these bad habits and they only hear a vision board, so their whole life just a vision board, so they learn something once, that's all they do. They don't want to learn anything else again, so they just have one habit and one belief. And so when it's time now to tell you, you know what, Angelo, maybe this is a better way, and you're like, nope, I've been doing this all my life. How many people say that? Nope, I'm used to it this way. Nope, this makes me comfortable. You're robbing yourself from evolving. And that is where so much of the human psyche gets lost, because they're no longer evolving. They're so busy just being mediocre. Right? So there's two sides to the coin, but humans developed a third side, doing nothing. Right?
I was like that.
And so for us, we have to say we don't want that. We want to be the doers, right? We want to make sure we're actually doing something with the time, gaining that experience. And a lot of people are always holding themselves back based off of doubt, based off of no self-esteem, based off of no confidence, and all of those things are rooted because of what are the predominant thoughts, what are the predominant feelings. If you are thinking and feeling that you need to have something that someone doesn't have, what does that do for you? It creates such a space inside that you think you have to get that materialistic thing to fulfill yourself internally. And then when you don't get it, what happens? Oh, then this says, you know what, I gotta get depressed. The mind starts to say, oh, I'm not happy, I can't acquire it.
Well, I've seen people, even though they've acquired what they wanted, once they got it, they're like, oh, you know what, I'm not happy, so I need to get more.
Yeah.
Maybe my vision board was wrong. Maybe I need like vision boards, panoramic.
Vision wall. Yeah. Yeah. And so we have to just be very careful that if we want to acquire things for the benefit of the family, acquire things for the benefit of your health, but don't acquire things just for the benefit of acquiring it to show off, just to be better than a neighbor, be better than somebody, because that acquisition is actually becoming so predominant in today's world. And what you don't realize is when you just acquire things just for acquiring its sake, you will never ever be happy, ever.
Well, I've witnessed that, and that's what led me to ask this question, because I've seen lots of people. Now, to be honest, I was there too, trying to look for more and more things, and then every time you get it, it's like getting a new toy, and you open it up, it's like, wow, it's really nice, but you play with it for a bit, and it's like, oh, wasn't good as I thought it was. Maybe I need more toys.
Yes.
And this never ends.
Correct. And that's what we have to be very careful of, is not to be so much consumers and be more producers, because that is where the secret lies. That's where the point from where you are to where you want to be is. It's all becoming a producer. Produce things, create things, develop things. But so many people are in the in-between, do nothing phase, and that's where it's very dangerous, because you stay in there for too long and you get lost. You stay in there for too long, all the motivation that you so-called think you need to go find goes out the window, because you stay in there for so long, your body and mind thinks it doesn't have to do anything. Your body and mind think it's just good to just be comfortable, and you're not willing to push that extra step, push that extra mile, do that extra task to see how much you can get closer to that target.
Now you brought up something, because I feel the most fulfilled when I'm serving someone, especially my wife. Just want to point that out. Because I used to wake up late.
Yes.
Used to just mope around, don't really do much.
No routine.
No routine, but I started to implement a routine, and I wake up and cook for Han. And it's so fulfilling. And I wake up, well, almost like this, almost. But I do that over and over again, and it's just so fulfilling. And I never thought waking up early to cook is fulfilling. But
remember what she said of how good the food tastes when it's cooked the same day?
Yes. I think that's just a trick.
But even if it was, or even if it wasn't, the fact is that you still go out of your way to provide that joy.
Because I see the joy in her.
See?
And that's what motivates me.
See?
And didn't have to pay anything for that.
Now, if you wanted to go get her a new iPad, or get her a new phone, or get her something like that, how long does that last?
I do that. It doesn't last that long. I'm actually more happy when she gets that, because I get to play with it.
So you get it for yourself,
yeah,
right?
Much. She's an excuse.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that's why when you give something selflessly the way you do, that goes volumes and volumes and speaks volumes, because that is something that she couldn't necessarily pay someone to do genuinely and actually care about it.
It's all these little things. But I was, again, being raised, and society now, social media and everything else, it teaches you complete opposite. These little things, these aren't things you put on a vision board. It's not sexy. You're not going to get likes for these things.
Right.
But these are the things that are real.
I agree. And one thing we have to understand, you use the word teach. Now, most people cannot classify, and if they can't classify, it's because they don't know how to define it. If they don't know how to define it, it's because they don't understand it. What's the difference? So I'll ask you, what's the difference between guidance and teaching?
I think with teaching, they're telling you what to do. Guidance is they give you, I guess, more options, or you discover your own.
Okay. What about you?
I would agree. I'd say teaching is more pushing information on you, but guidance is leading the way for you, showing you that, and then it's up to you whether you want to take the step or not.
Both are right, but both are not dead on.
Damn.
So understand this. When someone guides you, it's like, let's say you needed direction and someone wanted to teach you how to get there. Are you going to get there? If they want to teach you or try to show you up because they have a degree, they think they know more than you and they can give you all the fancy directions to go get to a place. Does that work?
No.
Talking down to somebody, does that work? Talking at someone with a certain voice, does that work? Certain tone? No.
There's no inspiration.
But why is it now that when we guide someone, we're like, you know what? How about I show you? I'm going down that same way. I'll show you how to get there. That's guidance. So it's like, okay, we have to take 2 lefts and a right, but you'll get lost at the right because it's such a tiny corner. You have to make sure you see it just after this store. So guidance is saying, let's go. I'll take your hand and I'll show you how to do it step by step. But make sure you get to that destination as promised. Teaching, they don't promise you anything. Teaching is when life is teaching you the lesson because you were not willing to listen to the guidance.
Okay.
Do you understand? That's when you ended up going the opposite way and 24 hours just to get to the point that only needed an hour. And when you travel, a lot of people end up doing that because they think they know more than the GPS. They think they know more than their friend or their family. And so they think, you know what, no, I'm right. And then what happens is when they get lost.
It sounds like someone I know. This is
Right? And so that's why most people, if they don't understand the difference, they'll be stuck in teaching and not in guidance. And you don't develop leaders by teaching, you develop leaders by guiding. And so a lot of people who are our world leaders, they want to dictate what should be and shouldn't be, but they're not guiding you, so that makes them a very poor leader. And that's why the people don't trust them. And when we help people in those type of positions, it's all to get the people to understand their position so that they can relay that clearly, concisely, so that the people they're sharing it with and that are entrusted to this person can trust them in return so that they can do a better job.
That's why I never really liked my teachers.
Yeah.
I mean, they can read off a textbook and teach you a bunch of
Anybody can
things.
do that.
But in terms of leading by example, I was never inspired to be like them.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my excuse.
Yeah.
That works.
I had one teacher that actually embodied that guidance way, and he was everybody's favorite.
Why?
Because he made you think for yourself. Like he made you, he brought up topics, but it wasn't pushing information. It wasn't out of a textbook, but we were actually learning stuff from other people in the world. We were learning stuff out of movies, and it was just like a really cool. It was a cool way the whole class was set up, but he was the only one that was guiding people. Everybody else was just like.
And how was the success and how was the happiness in that classroom?
Oh, incredible. You could feel it when you walk in.
And then when you go to another classroom, how's that when it's just
Draining.
like open up to page chapter 5 and open up to exercise 2? How does that make everyone feel?
It drains them.
It sucks the happiness out of it.
So as people that want to help other people, how can we tell whether we're teaching or guiding them?
Well, we have to do it first. I see so many people trying to teach someone else to do something they haven't done themselves. And then it gets lost in translation. And then it's like such a disservice to someone who's eager and ready to learn. And then they got a bad taste. So they say once bitten, twice shy. So because they had the bad taste the first time from a bad experience from somebody, then someone who can actually help them is right in front of them. They say no to it.
Okay, I have a question around that because I was at the gym and there was this personal trainer who did not look fit at all, but was training someone to get fit.
Yeah.
How doesn't make any sense?
Well, think of it this way. You say personal training. Well, everything should be personal training. And a lot of people just think it's just a gym. That extends to every different facet of life. And so it's like, perfect example of what you're saying. If somebody can't do it themselves, how do you think the results of person learning from that person is going to be?
As best as that person.
As far as it's going to go. So that's where teachers have to understand this is not a slight against them. It's just they have to be more of leaders and guiders, do it first so that classroom and every classroom around the world that those children go into, it sparks the light. It's always to spark that light, But when it's just going in there and it's just about academia and just about what's words are in a book or doing this formula or whatnot, it sucks the life out of it because it has no relevance. How is it relevant for a child? Trigonometry come tax season. Can you use it for tax? Can you use it for your business? Can you use it to make money for your business? Not that I know of.
Unless you're selling trigonometry classes.
Right? And so for a lot of people, they get stuck in that. And you have to learn to see the bigger scope, not to get stuck in that, to say, okay, I learned the academia, but I never let school interfere with my education, because education never stops.
See, they never taught that in school. It says school is education.
Uh-huh.
And then you go for more education, for more school.
But teaching is not education. I believe that guidance is, because I look at the way that you've shared stuff with us, and I would say that you've been guiding us this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned more from you than anybody else.
Well, thank you, but it's all about putting you in the position to succeed. Lots of times, lots of teachers don't understand that because they were not given the same spark. And it's not a slight against them, it's just they have to make some changes now so that they can develop that spark within and then share that spark without. But if they are just, it's just a job, then that's not helping anybody.
Oh, yes, I've seen that.
Right?
He's waiting for the severance.
And I think this all ties back to what we were originally talking about with the material, going after the material things. And I feel like you said, when you help Han, like that's how you feel fulfilled. Well, I feel like people that are leaders in the position to produce, that are guiding people with their expertise, that is probably will give them a lot more fulfillment rather than just pushing information and getting a paycheck.
Correct. And that's why a lot of people who get their degrees now can't even get a job in the field that they studied. And so they have to go maybe work at a coffee shop or maybe go do delivery or do something just to make ends meet. Why? Because no one guided them. They were taught a lot of things, but they weren't necessarily shown. Bernard, when you graduate, you have to do A, B, C, D, and E. You do this, then we can get to X, Y, and Z. But until you do that, we cannot get to X, Y, and Z. You know what? Let me use my contacts. Let me help you, put you in the position so that you can know what A is, what B is, what C is. You know what? Let's get you some experience under that belt with A, B, and C, so prepare you for the next level of what you've studied for. A lot of people with a degree don't have the humility. They think this little piece of paper deserves X amount of dollars.
Okay, it's good that you brought it up, because I was about to ask that question. Like, why don't people do that? Yeah, it's the humility.
Humility. Remember we talked about the immigrant mindset? How come people can come from a different country, zero education, but still come over here and have a life unlike anybody else's? Because they're not willing to take no for an answer. They're willing to work for every little thing.
They hustle.
They hustle, out hustle. They're willing to do jobs the person that lives in this area may not ever think of doing.
That was my mom.
Right?
She's a hustler.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Same with my grandfather. I mean, he came here with nothing, but I look at the legacy he left, from having his own company to 6 kids, 18 grand. Like, I'm just like, wow, that's impressive. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? But I think that they're on the complete producer side, and they're not afraid to fail. They're not afraid to make a mistake, because it's almost like their back is up against the wall, and there's no other choice.
That's the same thing. I spoke my parents, but my mom especially. She had nothing else to lose. There was no choice, actually. So she just hustled and hustled, worked overtime, did what she could do to take care of us.
But I feel like the vision board makes you compare yourself, and it paralyzes you because you don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to not have something because you value it so much, and then you're not willing to take an opportunity or to try something or to do the dirty work that somebody else isn't willing to do, because it's almost like you feel like you're better than that. And that's what I went through.
I completely agree. And here's the thing. With riches come more headaches. And a lot of people don't realize that. So let's say you like a really nice car. You acquire it. Well, did you check insurance? Did you check the maintenance? How often does it need to be maintained? Say you get a flat tire. Did you know it costs you $2,000 just to get it fixed? You need an oil change, maybe that costs another $2,000. How often is that? Let's say someone dings you, how much is that replacement part? Let's say you can't even park it into a bad area now. You have to park it so far away, so now you got to walk an extra 10 minutes just to get to where you want to go because you don't want to get it dinged.
That's what happened.
Right? And so a lot of people don't realize the headaches you bring thinking you need to acquire these things, but they don't realize the real costs that go with the rich, with the riches that you wanted. Because those things that you praise so high can be replaced, and those that care for you, that helped you get what you needed, you try to replace those people. You try to replace those things. And those are the things that not should ever be replaced.
No, I was just thinking, because my friend, he always dreamt of having a BMW.
Mm-hmm.
So finally he gets his job and gets his BMW, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful car. But he has to park all the way down, so no car can be around him, so nobody dings him.
Uh-huh.
So after I think about 2 or 3 years, he said, you know what, this is stupid. He just got a truck.
See? And then you park it wherever he wants.
Yeah, and doesn't care.
Right? But you see all that energy that you put into that now, like saying park away, make sure that there's no dent, make sure it's clean, make sure you have this because it's on the vision board, you want to have that, so you finally acquire it. Think of all that energy now that you placed and you try to harness. Well, where does that go when it all dissipates and all that focus goes to something known as riches and not enough can go towards producing? What happens? Then you're working at maybe 50% or less capacity of what you're actually capable of, minus what other distractions you have during the day.
It's really distracted because he keeps thinking, someone going to hit my car, someone going to do this, or this wasn't really present all the time.
So imagine if we could eliminate these types of distractions and really focus on that production, how much more we can actually get ahead, how many actual real assets we can actually own, not a depreciating asset.
Mm-hmm. Again, I'm thinking about the person I know that has all these riches, and just looking at his life, because I was so caught up with all his riches. I'm like, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. But then I see his family, I see his health, I see his partner, I just see just overall fulfillment or happiness or lack of. It's like, that does not make sense. That can't be right.
And there's nothing wrong that you want to acquire these things to take care of your family, acquire the assets to make sure you have a legacy. That's fine. Don't get me wrong. But don't let it consume you where that's the only focus, so that once you climb that mountain of, oh, yes, I got this car, yes, I got this house, then everything stops. Because it doesn't stop there.
That's what happened. It stopped.
See? It doesn't stop there, because then you acquire things for the wrong reason. If you're going to acquire it because it's the right fit for the family, it's the right fit for the future, it's the right fit for the investment.
And that's why he's coming to see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, because it's like anything in life, in business, sports, and in personal life. Everybody in sports, when it's draft day, they think they want to get the best talent. But if that talent is not the right fit for the system, for the right coach, for the right team, then that talent becomes useless. If you put the big-time executive come from top Fortune 100 company, think it's good we recruit that. Put that into our company. If the fitment is wrong, it will make you below 500. They would put the wrong pieces in the wrong place. You don't get the full picture.
That's why I see a lot of CEOs coming in to try to salvage the company and just tanks it.
Because it's the wrong fit. How can you take someone from the tech sector, go into the automotive sector? Or take from the automotive sector, maybe go into the retail sector? Maybe they don't understand or have enough experience to understand how those work. And so when we help these clients, it's to make sure that it's always the right fit. So then once you have the right fit for the puzzle, you can complete the picture. Then there's no second guessing. Then there's no wasted time. Then there's no gray area.
Okay. Great.
That makes perfect sense. I've seen that time and time again in sports.
Of course.
The most talented team gets knocked off.
Well, not the most talented, most expensive.
Yeah.
One of the most expensive.
Correct. Yeah. So I think that was a very good topic. I think we covered a lot on this podcast. Was it enlightening for you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because if it was for you, then I'm sure the listeners would have gotten that too, right?
So Bernard, what was your takeaway?
Focus on the things that, how do you say, not so much on the glitter, but on substance. The things that you probably wouldn't put on your vision board, but you already have that. That's the crazy part. Most of the things that will fulfill you is already here. We just don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, I would say my takeaway is to eliminate your distractions, because that's something I'm still doing today. It's like cutting down distractions. I had a talk with Herman a week or two ago, and he pointed out my distractions, and it really opened my eyes, and I cut them out, and it helped a lot. So I think that's something that everybody can implement as well. Don't be so distracted by the material world, social media. Just focus on what matters.
Now, one last piece to finish to surmise what you said. Most people have blind spots when they drive, right? Well, you have the same blind spots in your life. And
Exactly.
what we try to do is to identify these blind spots. So once we identify them, then you can do something about it,
That's true.
right? That's
Exactly.
that's why we do what we do. Identify these blind spots, get more results.
Okay, so I'm not going to go on to another topic because the podcast is going forever. But it's true. You identified some of my blind spots, and I made those changes, and that's why the results are the results.
Correct.
So thank you.
And if that appeals to the listeners, I mean, you want to know what your blind spots are, reach out to us. We'll help you find them.
Exactly.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.